The Hero Network. Game on. Chapter 1. It's time. In the year 7126, on the planet 3, Zenki stood there in the helicopter. The hologram of the Commander Kaz stood before him. Zenki, we have a situation. The hospital is being attacked by a monster fueled by the destructive network cargo. It's 20 stories tall, and the army don't have the men or the ways to increase their numbers, and it's up to you and your team, Commander Kaz ordered. Zenki stood there, his black leather trench coat, his big boots, and his deck of cards strapped to his belt, and a cocky grin written all over his face. Don't worry, boss, I got you, he sighed. See that you do, quickly and safe, no casualties, Commander Kaz snapped. Zenki let out a slight chuckle. The helicopter door opened and Zenki jumped out. He landed on the ground in front of the hospital. The army men had set up some barricades. Some fallen soldiers laid behind them. A few feet down the road, a massive monster stood. It had climbed out of a massive hole. Only its top half was on the surface level. It was big, brown, and covered in concrete. It was wearing it like plated armor. It had massive purple eyes planted all over its head, and bulky, so bulky, Zenki couldn't tell where its head stopped and its neck started. Zenki pulled up his sleeve and tapped his watch, and in a flash of light, his network reader formed on his wrist. It was a slick card holder, which was red and silver. Zenki opened his deck holder and pulled out a card, and he held it out. Hero card! Lock in! He called out. He slotted the card in the reader and raised his arm into the air. From the Gears Network, I call forth Marcus Phoenix! Zenki roared. The card burst into coding and vanished from the reader, and then Zenki held out both his hands and a portal opened on the ground, and Marcus Phoenix jumped out of the portal, his lancer in hand. Marcus! Shred that ugly fucker! Zenki ordered. Marcus Phoenix looked over at the monster as it roared. Its mouth was now wide and took up most of its body. On it! Marcus grinned. Marcus ran forward and knelt behind one of the barriers, joining the soldiers. He knelt up and aimed his lancer, and he pulled the trigger and started shooting the monster. The monster unleashed black wispy bolts of negative energy from its mouth. The bolts hit several of the soldiers, knocking them to the ground. Hey you guys, get your boys to that barrier by the entrance, Zenki ordered the two closest soldiers. We don't take orders from you, one soldier growled. Yeah, right now, you do. Or you're dead, Zenki barked back. Fine, the other soldier sniped. Then both soldiers started running out of the barricades, grabbing their fallen brothers and dragging them back to the entrance. Zenki then pulled another card from his deck and held it up. Hero card, lock in, he called out as he slotted the card into his reader. From the Overwatch Network, I'll call forth Mercy! Zenki roared. He held out his hand and another portal opened and Mercy flew out of it. Mercy, start on the soldiers, girl, come on! Zenki ordered. Mercy nodded and aimed her staff. Its beam erupted from the tip and hit the fallen soldiers, which started the healing process. Zenki then turned his attention to Marcus. His bullets weren't doing any damage. Zenki thought of a quick plan and drew another card and slotted it into his reader. Hero card, lock in, Zenki called out as he slotted the card into his reader. From the Sonic Network, I call forth Sonic the Hedgehog, Zenki roared. Another portal opened and a blue blur sped out of it. It came to a halt and Sonic the Hedgehog stood before Zenki. Find a weak spot, Zenki ordered as he pointed to the big snarling monster. On it like mustard on a chili dog, Sonic grinned. Then he sped off. The blue blur ran up the neighbouring building and then bolted onto the monster. He ran up the monster and ran all over its head. Yo dude, this thing is covered in armoured plates, thick-ass concrete, other than its top being like a big old sponge, Sonic explained over the communicator. Giving you an upgrade. Sonic, hit the weak spot, Zenki ordered. On it, boss, Zenki replied. He blurred around the monster's body and then bolted up into the air. Zenki pulled out another card and slotted it into the reader. Yellow Wisp upgrade activate, Zenki roared. Then he held out his hand and the yellow wisp formed out of thin air. It flew up into the sky and merged with Sonic. Time for some drill power, Sonic yelled out as he took his drill form. The drill spun and it hit the weak spot like it was soft mud. The drill spun through the soft seal like flesh, and Zenki watched as the monster froze in place. Then suddenly half his body exploded, revealing its ribcage, and black and purple orb in the middle of his chest started beating. "Marcus, aim for the orb, it's acting as his heart. And here, I got something for you," Zenki ordered. He slotted another card into the reader. "Boom shot, upgrade, activate," Zenki yelled out. A new gun appeared on Marcus's back. He pulled it off and aimed it, and then he shot several rockets at the orb. The rocket hit the orb, and the orb shattered like glass. The monster froze in place and then exploded in wisps of shadow, and the wisps dissipated. Marcus and Sonic walked up to Zenki, their upgrades disappearing in a glitch of coding. "Good job, boys," Zenki nodded. "All about done here, boss," Marcy said as she joined her fellow heroes. "Thanks, Marcy. Big help," Zenki told her. He raised his hand up, and Marcus, Phoenix, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Marcy all disappeared in a flash of green, and their hero cards appeared in Zenki's hand, and he slotted them back into his deck. Zenki then pressed his communicator in his ear. "Yo, Commander, job done, and the soldiers are all taken care of," Zenki said. "Yeah, but we have another problem. Get back to base now," the commander ordered. Zenki let out a sigh and waited for the helicopter to come collect him. Zenki sat in front of the commander and the board of directors. "Zenki, we have a problem," the commander stated. Yeah, gathered that." Zenki sighed. He placed his feet on the table, making himself comfortable. "That attack on the hospital was one of 6 attacks in 9 days, the commander said. "Okay, and I took each one of them down, didn't I?" Zenki sniped. "The point is, Zenki, something is happening. That bastard, known as Dr. Smiley, is selling more DNC, and more thugs are propping up with powerful weapons, more monsters are being created, and more lives are being lost. We need to take Smiley down," Commander barked. "So, what you saying here?" Zenki asked with a huff. "We want you to take down Dr. Smiley, once and for all," the commander said with a sigh. Zenki let out a chuckle. He stood up and walked around the table. He walked up to the directors and the commander, and he leant forward, becoming level with the commander. "I'll do this. I'll do it my way. And I mean I want my whole deck accessible. I want full leverage, the whole 9 yards. If you want me to do this, I've got to go in hard," Zenki told them. Commander Kaz took a long breath in and let out an even longer sigh. Then he nodded at Zenki. Zenki let out a cheer and walked away. He headed out of the director's office and walked through the base. He entered the arsenal room and walked up to the wall. He placed his hand on the panel, and the panel lit up green as it read his handprint. Then the panel slid away, revealing a hidden compartment. And there in the compartment was Zenki's other half to his hero deck. He picked it up and pulled out his main deck from his holder. He then placed both decks together and shuffled the deck together, forming now one full deck, as he slotted the deck into his holster in his belt. He then walked out the arsenal room and walked into the command center and stared at the holomap. He stood there with a slight grin on his face as prepared for the biggest fight of his life.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio.
Hosted by 3 cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Tai Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channels, the TikTok accounts, and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the 3rangerbrostudios.com.